Hey, everybody. So today we're going to talk about eating meat. And specifically, I'm going to react to a video of Piers Morgan interviewing this vegan protester. And apparently, during this interview, Piers Morgan eats a piece of steak. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to have some commentary. Let's check it out.
A high-end steakhouse in London, and the waitresses did what many have wanted to do with these protesters for a while. Take a look.
Thank you for the market. Good night. Good night.
Thank you very much, ladies. Well, joining me now is Animal Rebellion spokesman Nathan McGovern. Nathan, let's start with you. I don't like vegans very much. I don't think any of you look very healthy.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, I think you all look pretty pasty-faced and unhealthy to me. But that's your choice. What I don't do is I don't go running into vegan restaurants and start screaming abuse at you all and have to be pulled out by people because you're ruining everyone's fun. Why do you do that to meat eaters?
The vegan protesters, I suspect, they're doing it because they're fighting against animal cruelty. They think that meat eaters are doing something immoral. So for Piers Morgan to say, well, meat eaters don't go protesting in vegan restaurants, they would need to have an argument for why they ought to do that, right? Like, so if vegans were doing something gravely immoral, then meat eaters would be justified in protesting them, right?
Well, Piers, you've started on an absolute blinder today. I actually brought a little game with me for Aldo, perhaps the audience to play. It's a Piers Morgan vegan bingo. Maybe we get a zoom on that from the camera. And you've actually just ticked off one straight away. I'll just go with that. We're looking at row or a column already. So the thing is, within years, technology like precision fermentation, alt protein, is going to produce the exact same products that you love right now, using a fraction of the land, producing a fraction of the carbon
But I like
footprint.
eating meat.
It's the exact same product.
No, but I like eating meat.
Fine. You'll be eating the exact same product.
In fact, the
but without
more
the
you guys do
expectation
this
of
kind of thing,
animals.
the more meat I want to eat.
Okay, so the fact that you like eating meat is not a strong moral argument to eat meat. Like, I like eating meat too, like I like the taste of meat. But I acknowledge that that's not a strong moral argument to do something.
That's absolutely fine.
No, it's
Piers.
true.
That's
You do.
fine. That's
you
fine.
literally, it's a bit. Honestly, it's true. The more stuff you do like this,
Sorry, I
you
didn't catch that. It's true, is it? You've said that about 3 times. I didn't quite catch
true?
it. That you like eating meat.
Yes.
Oh, thanks. I didn't get it the first 3 times.
How committed a vegan are you?
How committed a vegan am I?
Would you eat? Do you drink almond milk?
Oh, you've ticked off another one. Fantastic, Piers. You
does
are
it have-
on an absolute
Does it have
roll.
answering questions?
I don't know. I'll keep that one hidden from you. Take the fun
Can
out
you
of
just
the game.
answer questions? Otherwise, it's not much of an interview. I mean, you have your little chart, but do you drink almond milk?
I'm already not liking the tone of this conversation. It's a little more confrontational than I would like. I would rather them just focus on the arguments.
But most science now says that if you don't have a balanced diet, it's actually unhealthy for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why a plant-based diet, a balanced plant-based diet is healthy.
Aldo, what do you feel?
Okay, so now he's making an empirical claim, right? Which is that in order to be healthy, you need to have a balanced diet, and that means eating some meat. Okay, that's what Piers Morgan's is claiming. And the vegan protester is saying that you can have a balanced diet without meat.
Fine,
So what's
Piers.
the point of it all? What does it achieve? None of you make me want to change my mind. I just think, what annoying little squits.
So that's a good point, right? Because if you're a protester, you want to make some sort of change. So you care about how effective your tactics are. And if your protesting tactics actually push people away from your position, then that gives you good reason to rethink your tactics. Now, I'm not really sure empirically like what the truth is, like what are the actual effects of vegan protesters protesting in restaurants? I don't know, right? Like, does it actually push more people away or does it make more people sympathetic? I mean, it might be the case that a lot of people are going to be dissuaded simply because of your protesting tactics, right? And that might be inevitable, honestly. I don't really know if there's a way for you to protest to get everybody on your side. So one question that I would ask Piers Morgan is, what type of protesting tactic would he support? Like, I think there is room for some creative thinking here because you don't even necessarily have to agree with the other side in order to think that their protesting tactic is a good one, So that is an opportunity for dialogue.
You've got a right to praise. Oof! You've got me another one.
Take it off your bingo.
Fantastic.
Take it off your bingo, son.
But where's the salt? Where's it?
Won't need any of this gruel.
Where's it?
Let's put that
Fantastic.
to one side, but I will have a bit of steak just to...
You didn't salt it though.
You see, all you've achieved is you've made me want to do this. Just eat a
That's
lovely...
absolutely fine. You go for it.
Do you know how many steaks he's had from my restaurant?
Yeah, a lot.
So I'm not really a fan of the theatrics, you know? Again, I wish that they would just focus on the arguments.
If you want to win an argument, you just can't be annoying all the time. You can't just ruin everyone's fun and their lives, walking around like you had the only way forward for life and the universe, the Nathan McGovern rule book.
It's not.
So, yeah, I mean, if you want to win an argument, it's not a good idea to be annoying. But I think when you protest something, the goal is something different, right? It's not necessarily when you're actively protesting something, I don't think the goal is to convince people via argumentation, right? It's probably to bring attention to a cause or something like that. So here's some final thoughts. The first is that I was just disappointed in the quality of the conversation. You know, like it was confrontational. They were just taking digs at each other, and they missed out on going into the philosophical arguments over eating meat. You know, and that's really what you have to get into if you want to make your point, if you want to convince other people, right? Because it is a moral debate. They didn't talk about animal cruelty at all, right? Which is going to be one of the strongest reasons not to support the meat industry, you know? And that's sad, right? Because I think that there is a strong moral case to be made for vegetarianism or for veganism. Second, I do want to reiterate the statement I made earlier, which is that just because you like doing something is not a good moral argument to do that thing, right? So just take whatever example that you want, whatever thing that you think is obviously immoral. Imagine somebody trying to defend that behavior by saying, well, I like doing that. Is that going to be a strong moral argument? Of course not, right? You have to dive deep into the actual behavior, and you have to provide a reason for why you think it is morally good or why you think it's morally bad, okay? Third, the argument about eating meat doesn't necessarily have to mean that you either eat a bunch of meat or you eat no meat, right? They're not the only two options there. So I would say like a very strong argument in favor of not eating meat is that the meat industry just abuses animals, okay? And you don't want to support this industry that abuses animals. Animals suffer because they're sentient beings, and they live really terrible lives in these factory farms. And so we need to change that, right? We have to change that institution. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that eating meat is intrinsically wrong, right? For instance, like let's say that there was some sort of animal that died because, you know, like a tree fell on it or something like that. Well, I don't see anything wrong with eating that particular animal, right? So it's not eating meat that's intrinsically wrong. It's supporting this industry that abuses animals. And there are additional arguments for not supporting the industry, such as fighting climate change. But even in that case, right, like if an animal just happened to die because a tree fell on it or something like that, then I don't think there's anything wrong with eating that meat. And lastly, I just really don't like confrontation. It's not productive, and it just makes people defensive. I don't think that conversation is going to convince anyone, right? Like, I don't think Piers Morgan just convinced anybody to decide to eat meat. And I don't think the vegan protester convinced anybody to give up meat. You know, like each side was kind of annoyed at the other side, and they're just like, oh, this guy's not going to listen, and we're just going to go our separate ways. And it's like, I don't really see the point of that discussion. Okay, I think I'm going to end it here. I hope you learned something interesting, and I'll see you all next time.